Hey everybody, Eric here with just a quickie review of DC's House of Horrors. This just came out on October 25th at your local comic book store. And of course it's from DC Comics. It's $9.99 for a little square-bound horror anthology. Excuse me. Bunch of little short stories, difficult to talk too much about each story without giving them away because they're also really quick. But I'm going to go over each one and see if I can't show you something from each one. The first story, and I'm looking at the table of contents here as I do this. First story is Bump in the Night, a Superman story is what it says. Written by Edward Lee. First of all of these stories were plotted by Keith Giffen, and the scripts, as it says in the credits, were provided by horror authors. So the first one is from Edward Lee. I'll just show you just a quick glimpse. I'm sure you can't see too much there, but that's the first page of the Edward Lee story, and it's we'll say a horror take on the arrival of Superman on Earth. Did I say the art was by Howard Porter? Really nice artwork in this one. I like it a lot, and I really enjoy this story. It's pretty interesting. Again, I don't know what to say that isn't going to give anything away. Just it's about Superman's arrival on Earth in a horror type story. Well, I shouldn't say type. It's a horror story, straight up. But it works. I'm thinking about skipping the next one because I think it's probably the best one, and I don't know if I should save it for last. So I am going to skip it. So the third story is Crazy for You, a Harley Quinn story. And this one was scripted by Brian Smith and Brian Keene. And here's the first page of that. I'm trying to avoid showing you the last page of the previous story, so there's the first page of Crazy for You. And this is art by Kyle Baker. And here's just a quick little view. This story is weird, and the art of all the stories in here, this one to me, the art is most reminiscent of the old EC comics. There's just something about the style that Kyle Baker uses here that really feels like those old horror comics from back in the day. It's an interesting story. I like the way Harley Quinn is portrayed here and what goes on. Again, I can't really tell you too much about it. Here's something I probably should have said at the beginning. These are non-canon continuity stories. They are straight up horror stories. They are definitely different takes on these characters, with one major exception, which we'll get to shortly. But it's not, oh, here's your favorite DC characters fighting a scary villain because it's Halloween. These are deep, dark, different versions of these DC characters. So there you go. The next story, number 4, is Last Laugh. Plot by Keith Giffen. Script by Nick Cutter for this one, and this has a special place in my heart because the art is by Rags Morales. I'm a huge fan of Rags Morales artwork. Oh, what to show you in this one? Not the first page, but the second page, I guess, would be the one to show. It's that page there. I don't know how well you can see it. This one is a Batman story. Is that what it says? Yes. A Batman story. I really dig this one. I like where it goes. Definitely shows an alternate version of the history, the Batman that we know. There's a point, maybe midway through, where I knew where it was going to go, but, you know, what the ending would be. But it had still a very impactful ending. Wonderful artwork from Rags Morales. Really good Batman story. Alternative Batman story. Next up, we have Blackest Day, a Justice League story. This is scripted by Alan, why am I saying that? Scripted by Brian Keene, with art by Scott Collins. I'm just gonna... No, I don't want to show you that page because it'll, excuse me, give away the end to the previous story. You can just take a quick glance at that. I know you're really not... excuse me. Really not seeing much. So this is the story that, to me, is the DC characters that you know. Excuse me just a moment. How rude of me to drink in front of company, but there's something going on here. Alright, hopefully that takes care of it. So, Blackest Night. These are the DC characters you know and love in a horror situation. Excuse me, Blackest Day is the name of the story. But, yeah, it's a good story. It's Brian Keene, so of course it's going to be good. He's one of my definitely top 5 favorite writers. No question. He's that high up on my list. But this is the most straightforward story, and the one that shows you the characters you know and love. Just in a horrible situation. But still a very good story. After that, we have Stray Arrow, a Green Arrow story, written by Ronald Malfi. Man, sorry about all that. His middle name's Damien. He used to go by Ronald Damien Malfi, but it's Ronald Malfi. Art by Dale Eaglesham. And let's go with that picture, I guess. Can you see that? I don't know. Anyway, relatively straightforward story with some interesting twists to it. It does deal with the relationship between Green Arrow and Black Canary. That's going on in here. But of course, again, it's not the traditional relationship. These are not the traditional characters. A very good story. I really do like the artwork in this one as well. A lot of great art in this whole book. Next, we have Unmasked, a Two-Face story, written by Wrath James White, art by Tom Rainey, and you know what? I'm going to show you this because, well, that might be a spoiler. We'll just go with that one. Again, trying not to show the last page of the previous story. So, a Two-Face story. I'm just going to keep saying it over and over, I think. These are not the characters you know. These are definitely bizarre takes. And a lot of these stories, this one included, almost have the same theme, which is inner turmoil, perhaps. It's the best way to put it. I don't know if that's the best way to put it or not, but so this Unmasked, really interesting. There's some crazy stuff going on in here, and then the what happens at the end, really cool. And it's Wrath James White, again, one of my favorite authors. All the authors in here, big fan. I mean, I love Edward Lee, love Brian Smith, Brian Keene. Ronald Malfi has written, his last few books have been just amazing. Wrath James White, love his stuff. and again, I've skipped the second story. The last story is The Possession of Billy Batson, a Shazam story, written by Weston Oakes, another fantastic writer. Art by Howard Chaykin. I love, love, love Howard Chaykin. I'm going to have to skip that page because I don't want you to see the end of the previous story, so I'll just show you this classic Howard Chaykin artwork. And this is another, and they're all such interesting stories. It's odd to see Billy Batson in here a little more grown up than we're used to, with this punk rock look. If you can see that right there. I know you're getting some glare. He's got an earring and a leather jacket with studs on it. And, excuse me. Again, trying to describe the story, I think, gives it away. So, just, it's a creepy, bizarre take on Billy Batson and Shazam. And then finally, we have probably the best story in here. And, oh, you know what? Let me see. I should have done this earlier. I don't really have anything to cover. I want to cover the previous page so you can see the first page here of this story. But I don't have anything handy to cover up except my hand, I suppose. Anyway, so the second story, my favorite story, is Bumpin'... No. You know, I should redo this video, but I'm not going to, because I've made quite a few mistakes here. This is live, people. Well, I'm recording it live, obviously, but you're not going to see it live. The second story is Man's World, a Wonder Woman story, written by Mary Sangiovanni, with art by Bilquis Evely. Not sure how to pronounce that name. Here, trying to cover up what happened previously. I don't want you to see that. But there's the first page for Man's World. And again, I don't want to say too much about it to give away what happens, but it's a frightening, definitely a powerful take on the spirit of the Amazons. I guess. I think I can say that. You know, I don't want to spoil it. If you want details, as always, comments below are open for spoilers. So, just, you know, post a spoiler warning, and we can talk about these stories in detail. But for anyone who hasn't read this yet, I don't want to give them away. They're short, they're quick, and I'm just afraid that if I go into too much detail, it'll give away what goes on. Just know they're all good stories. Mary Sangiovanni's is fantastic. I really dig Brian Keene's. And I like the Edward Lee at the first story, the Superman story. I really dig that one. But they're all definitely entertaining. As I said, maybe, you know, once you've read it, we can start talking in the comments. You can tell me if you see sort of the same theme in a number of the stories. I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 out of 8 have a similar vibe. Not the same. It's not just the same story retold. And again, it could just be me. Just a similar vibe. All right, this video has gone on way longer than I expected it to. So that's just a quickie review of DC House of Horrors. Definitely worth picking up. If I can, I'll have some links for it in the description down below. And again, if you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put them in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post a spoiler warning. Be happy to talk about this with you. And please like, share, and subscribe. So that's it for this just quickie review that I'm going to throw up onto YouTube as soon as I finish this sentence. Until next time, well, okay, after I finish this next sentence, until next time, read more books.